Testing, testing. Hey everybody, we're getting ready to start really soon. I'm just gonna wait until 4. I think we're about 3 minutes away, or 1 minute away. So if you are on, and I see there are some viewers on, please grab yourself a drink, grab a pen and paper, get yourself ready, take some deep breaths. This is awesome. I'm so excited to share it with you guys. And I'm hoping it should be about 45 to 50 minutes, so a little less than an hour. and you'll be good to go. All right, it's 4:30, so I'm gonna get started. So if you jump on the line now, super excited to get started. So let's hit it. So this is the How to Stop Overeating at Night for Good online class with me, Claire Wisner, certified nutrition therapy practitioner. So I want to start out by talking about who this is for. This is for you if you can't figure out why you consistently eat more than your body needs. This is for you if you feel like you've tried dieting, maybe cleansing, detoxing, only to feel defeated because you just don't seem to have the willpower, and I'm doing quotes here, to stick to it, especially when it comes to the evenings, right? I definitely have been there. So this is for you if you have a pattern of mindlessly eating in front of the TV, computer, or phone at night, only to wake up feeling unrefreshed, bloated, and worst of all, guilty, right? Because you know better. You just can't seem to do better. This is for you if you know what you should do to lose weight, have more energy, and eat like you love yourself, but you just can't seem to actually do it. In the next 45 minutes to an hour, but I'm going to try and keep it to 45 minutes, you're going to learn a clear step-by-step process to stop overeating once and for all. You're going to feel ready to shift your eating and lifestyle habits permanently. You're going to learn how willpower is a fallacy and why you fail when you rely solely on it, and what you need to rely on instead. You're going to understand the role of cravings, your blood sugar, the role your blood sugar and hormones play in cravings. You're also going to see how you can stop depriving yourself. You're going to get simple and practical action steps that you can begin today and be well on your way to stopping your overeating for good. Totally, right? So learn how to stop making fear-based choices around food and start living again. This is something I see in my clients all the time. It's like they are so obsessed with food or so tied to what they should and shouldn't be eating and concerned with it that they really aren't even living, that they can't even enjoy, the day-to-day moments. In the next 45 minutes, you'll also learn how to stop undergoing the same cycles of restriction and control when it comes to health and start living healthy from a place of intuition and effortlessness. So let's get some things all out on the table first. Give me your full attention for this 45 to 60 minutes. Turn off your phone, close the other tabs on your browser. You owe it to yourself. This information is a little heavy, so you really want to be able to absorb it, to take it in, to take notes, and really just, you owe it to yourself to really pay attention. You also have to want to change. This isn't some magic bullet that, is going to tell you what you can do without changing anything. You actually have to change. You have to be ready to work hard, but not in the same ways you've worked hard before. This is really key. I'm not saying that this stuff isn't difficult, but it is different, and it's not going to require you to use willpower-soaked rules to do things. You have to be open to trusting your body. If you are ingrained in the mindset that your body is broken and that you need to fix it, then this is not for you, because this is about trusting your body. This is about opening to the idea that your body knows what's best for it. So even though you may have those ideas that you need to fight your body, you have to be open at least to the idea that trusting your body is the way to go. Like I said before, there's no silver bullet here. Overeating and emotional connection with food is complicated and super individualized. So this is not something that, that anyone can do, that it's just like cut and dry. The results of this process and my work with clients are individually tailored. So I can give you the background, I can give you the 3 basic steps, but know that you'll have to make some individual adjustment. Your success in this process is totally up to you. It is. I can guide you to the door, but I can't make you walk through it, right? This has to be done by you, this work. So does this sound like you? You begin diets with the best of intentions, but always seem to fall back into overeating. Then you blame the fact that you didn't try hard enough. You think you fail at diets because you lack self-discipline and control. Does this sound like you? You never feel quite satisfied on your diet, and eventually you lose control because of your cravings or because of stress or whatever it is, and you end up going back to old habits with a lot more confusion and guilt. Does this sound like you? You look at old pictures of yourself when you were younger, maybe thinner, and you wonder where that thinner, happier version of you went. I know that I used to do this all the time. I'd be like, dang, where did she go, you know? So really the question is, do you feel out of control around food? I know I did. I know what it feels like. So the real problem isn't you. The real problem is you don't know the facts about cravings, binging, and overeating. You're relying on willpower. This is a huge problem because willpower, and we'll talk about this, is not going to work. You don't have a clear-cut plan. Plans are so key to clarity and true action. You judge yourself harshly and have not developed a deep-seated trust of your innate bodily wisdom to tell you what you truly need. This is key here. This is what we're going to talk about a ton, is that we have to develop that clear connection with our higher selves. So after this class, you'll understand the basics around cravings, overeating, and how they're related to blood sugar, hormones, and unmet emotional needs. You'll see how you can begin to shift your body back into balance and stop the cravings. You'll understand the fallacy of willpower. You'll stop relying on willpower and see how you can start relying on your inner guide instead. You'll have my simple step-by-step process to stop overeating, to start working on tomorrow or tonight or whatever. You'll see how healthy choices can become second nature and feel effortless. This is key. So just a few things that I believe. I believe that you have been doing your absolute best to try to stop overeating. I don't see you as weak, greedy, lazy, or self-indulgent. In fact, I know you aren't. Even if you think these things about yourself, I don't, and I'm right here with you. I think you are heroic because even though you haven't succeeded, you keep trying. People who don't have these issues with overeating, compulsive eating, bad habits they know are bad, but they somehow can't stop, they've never been subjected to this internal conflict and really what feels like despair this type of behavior can create. And even though you've experienced that, and I know what it's like to experience that, you're still willing to push forward. And I really believe in you and that. So here I am saying, I believe in you and all these things. And I just want to show you who I am first, introduce myself, right? So I'm a certified nutrition therapy practitioner, which is basically a holistic registered dietitian. I did the same amount of work of schooling. I have an undergrad degree, and then I did 2 years post-undergrad, and then I did an internship as well. I'm a certified primal expert through Mark Sisson, who is a leading expert on primal and paleo nutrition and lifestyle. I am an EFT practitioner, which is emotional freedom technique. It's also called tapping. It's a blend between acupressure, cognitive behavioral therapy, and exposure therapy. And it can be really powerful for getting underneath subconscious beliefs and releasing them. I'm also a voice dialogue practitioner, which is a type of therapy that really allows you to give voice to the parts of you that may be disowned, that are causing toxic or unhealthy habits, and holding you back from true transformation. So it can be really, really powerful to give voice to these parts of you and understand where they're coming from so that you can meet their needs and then move past them. Because a lot of times when we're not aware of what our true needs are, if there's a part of us that needs something that's, it's not getting, then voice dialogue can really allow us to see that and give that need. And we'll talk more about that in the lecture. So my practice, my coaching approach is really based on emotional, mental, physical, and spiritual health being addressed together. So as a whole, right? Because I'm a health coach because of the nutrition, but I'm also a lifestyle coach, which involves a lot of therapy and really getting underneath those subconscious beliefs that may be holding you back, that may be making it so hard to be healthy. So who am I on a more personal level? That's my professional background. Who am I? I struggled with compulsive eating, weight resistance, really negative self-image, binging, over restriction, over exercising, you know, you name it. I was trying it because I just never felt like I was good enough. I had a lot of issues with anxiety and depression as well. And so after college, I was really almost fed up. Like I was like, I don't know what to do. I've tried everything and I'm not getting better. I still feel really crappy about myself. So what I did is I joined the Peace Corps because that's the way I decided to shake my life up and kind of just like throw caution to the wind, right? So when I was in Peace Corps, I lived in a mud hut, not unlike that one in the picture. I didn't have electricity. I didn't have running water. I didn't have anyone that spoke English close to me. It was really, really tough, but it was really, really full of growth because what it forced me to do was really spend a ton of time with myself and really look myself in the face and ask myself, what do you want? What do you want from life? Who are you? Really address who I was and where I was coming from. And what I realized is that self-love was really the root at all my problems. I was coming at changing myself from a place of self-loathing, really. And what I needed was to come from a place of self-love. So I picked up tons of, personal development books, nutrition books, and basically I kind of found my way out of this self-loathing hole that I was in. And sometimes it was really hard, but always I had this determination to love myself through this whole process. So after I did this, I really vowed my life to spend teaching my life this information and do the same through gaining the formal education needed to help and through my own continual personal development. If you ask any of my friends or my husband, they'll tell you I'm like a personal development junkie. I'm constantly trying to make myself better, but from a place of self-acceptance and love, which is key here. So I help women and some brave men live life on purpose and learn to love themselves unconditionally. This is my purpose in life, to help people become, women in particular, become more self-realized, realize that they're worthy of love, and allow them to eat from a place that is full of self-love. So that's who I am. So discovering this step-by-step process to stop overeating for good was really fun. And this is kind of through my own personal development, but also through working with clients. So after I stopped my own compulsive overeating, working with clients, really digging into the research around the root causes of emotional eating, binge eating, compulsive eating, and even just consistent overeating or consistently bad habits, I've developed this streamlined 3-step process that consistently delivers successful results. So I'm going to walk you through this 3-step process so that you can use it on yourself and reap the incredible benefits. So step 1 is identify the cause. We need to identify the cause of our overeating in the first place. And there are kind of 4 things that have to do with this. So you want to know about emotional versus physical hunger. You want to track your daily routine. You want to understand your hormones. And you want to understand the fallacy of willpower and what to use instead. So the difference between emotional and physical hunger. Does your hunger come on suddenly or slowly? Typically, emotional hunger is going to come on quickly in the form of a sudden craving for something like sweet or salty, whereas real hunger is going to be for substantial meals, and it's going to come on more slowly. So one thing about this is, did you eat enough calories during the day, or is your body simply craving high-calorie foods because you've been depriving yourself, right? So is it emotional or is it physical? There might be a very good reason for physical hunger. So start to become aware of the patterns around when and how you eat. Write them down, right? This is something that I call food mood journal. It's saying, how did I feel before I ate? This is what I ate. How do I feel after I ate? And then really becoming aware of any patterns involved around that. So when you find yourself craving something, ask yourself, do I really want this? You'd be surprised at how just this slight pause can really stop binging in its tracks. I've had so many clients be like, I can't believe that's all I had to do was really ask myself, right? Really stop and ask myself. So try that if you're dealing with emotional hunger. So why do we crave food when our emotional needs are not being met? So if you look at this really simple diagram, basically we have these kind of 5 things that we substitute food for most frequently. One is connection, love, freedom, identity, adventure. Intimacy is another one I find. So a lot of times we have this need, which may be for connection, which may be for adventure, and then that becomes a desire. And instead of feeding the desire with the actual thing we need, we feed it with food, right? So that's a little bit about emotional versus physical hunger. The next step of identify the cause is track your daily routine. So again, begin by keeping this food, mood, routine journal. Simply detail your daily routine. What time did you wake up? Eat breakfast, eat lunch, go to dinner, go to bed. Be sure to note things like, are you skipping meals? Are you being overly restrictive? Do you pre-plan your dinners and make sure that you have a well-balanced meal that's satisfying? What's your bedtime routine? Do you have a set bedtime? Stop using screens at a reasonable hour. That can be really, really, if you're using screens up until you go to bed, that can really mess with your hormones, and that can really affect your hunger and how hungry you feel. So this is case study number 1. This is Carly. She couldn't stop binge eating at night. She would start cleanses, detoxes, diets all the time. And even though she would follow through with them a lot of the time, she would always like fall right off the wagon. And I don't really like that term, but that's what I'm saying. Because she would get done with the cleanse and then go right back to the way she was eating before, just because it was so hard. So after I put Carly through this process with me, she realized that she had been eating so little throughout the day. It was no wonder she was pigging out at night, right? Because she had tracked her routine, started to see how little she was actually eating, even though she felt like she had been eating a lot. Her body actually needed a more consistent calorie intake throughout the day so that her blood sugar could be balanced, and the craving simply went away when she started feeding herself more consistently. So she really ate more, she lost weight, and started loving life again. This is so key, and I've seen this multiple times, not just with Carly, but when we are depriving ourselves, our body actually goes into starvation mode, and it lowers our basal metabolic rate. So we're burning less calories when we're doing nothing, which actually causes the body to hold on to weight. So sometimes we actually need to eat more, and tracking our daily routine can really let us see that. This is just a quote from Carly. Working with Clara was a wonderful life-altering experience. She was wise beyond her years and inspired me to look deeper inside myself as a person rather than focusing on food and body image as the determinants of my self-worth. Clara created a supportive environment, and she felt comfortable. And, she's on a path of recovery from binge restrict disordered eating, and it feels amazing. Awesome, Carly. So the next part of identify the cause is understanding your hormones. If your hormones are unbalanced, this can cause a whole lot of cravings, not to mention trigger emotional eating. So I'm just going to go over the 4 main hormones involved in hunger. Insulin is the fat storage hormone. So an insulin spike equals fat storage. And basically what causes an insulin spike is a lot of simple carbohydrates. So we just want to avoid that. Leptin is the fullness hormone. It's the thing that allows us to feel full. It tells our brain, hey, you're full, don't eat anymore. Sugar, flour, processed foods interfere with leptin signaling so you don't feel full. So we want to avoid those things, right? Ghrelin is the hunger hormone. I think of it as like a little gremlin down in the stomach telling you to eat more. This is erratic eating habits cause more hunger. So when we don't eat consistently, or we eat a lot and then eat a little, that can cause more hunger throughout the day. Peptide YY is a quality control hormone. And basically what that means is that when we eat a bunch of low quality food, which has less nutrients, then we're gonna have more hunger. So even though we're getting all these empty calories, we're gonna be more hungry. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Basically, it equals more stress equals more likelihood of overeating, which can cause weight gain. So this can get really complicated. Hormones, the endocrine system are, so complicated. So could do a whole class on this, and maybe I will someday. But for binge eating, it's just important to realize how much hormones play into our feelings of hunger and fullness. So in general, avoid grains, gluten, processed dairy, and sugar, and then enjoy lots of leafy greens, veggies, sweet potatoes, properly raised meat, wild-caught fish, few nuts, seeds, and berries. So basically a paleo diet. Now, this is something that obviously takes a lot of coaching if you're coming from something very different. So this is one of those times when you need to take into individual consideration, right? You don't want to just put something on yourself that you absolutely can't do, but you do want to know that this is generally the diet that would be great for rebalancing hormones. So your hormones will normally rebalance along with your blood sugar, which will wipe out strange cravings and overeating, because your body will feel its signals for satiety and hunger more clearly. This is so key because a lot of times there's just a lot of mixed signals going on in our bodies because of our hormones. And that can't be attributed to, our lack of willpower. This is real things in our body that are set up to make us feel hungry and make us feel full. And if they're not working correctly, then we can't really be blamed for that, right? So eating a diet like this can really help to balance the blood sugar as well as hormones. So the fallacy of willpower. Many people really despair at the prospect of improving their eating habits because they think they don't have enough willpower. I see this all the time at like parties, or I talk to people and I say, oh, I'm a nutrition therapist, and they say, oh, I really should do something about the way I eat, but I just can't. Or they just seem really scared. There's like a ton of fear around it. So, and there's good reason, right? It's like, how else do you explain these destructive dietary and lifestyle habits that we repeatedly engage in? Because that's what people are thinking, right? They're like, well, why would I eat so unhealthfully if I had more, if I know better, unless I'm just weak, right? But that's not the case. One of the issues with willpower is that it implies this profound distrust of ourselves. And this is something that I don't buy. I don't think that we should distrust ourselves. Willpower actually suggests that we should use the mind against the body, right? We should pit the mind against the body. And this is never going to end well, because the more research comes out, the more we learn about the subject. We have a mind body. Our mind affects our physiology affects our mind. It's this constant back and forth. And so we can't pit the mind against the body, because it's just not going to work. Right. So not trusting our bodies and disconnecting from them has actually gotten us into this mess in the first place. We need to completely let go of this idea that we need to will through and commit to trusting ourselves and following our inner guides. If you are just going to continue to try harder next time at the same thing that you did this time that didn't work, isn't that just trying harder at something that doesn't work? And I just can't get over this. I can't reiterate it enough, that if you've tried to lose weight through restriction, or through putting rules around what you eat that don't work for you, and it doesn't work, then for some reason we berate ourselves instead of saying, there must be something wrong with this process, not myself. So our body wants to be healthy, and we need to trust it. Self-trust means love and trusting your body unconditionally. So you've been denying your body for so long that it's got to have big cravings, because it's got to get your attention somehow, right? It's like a pressure cooker that has a steam valve plugged, and it's going to blow up. And that's why when we talk about, when I talk about the fallacy of willpower, people are like, well, if I trusted my body, I would just eat ice cream and pizza all day. That's not the case. You might do that at first, and because of this phenomenon of the pressure cooker and not allowing yourself to feel the things that you need, eventually your body is definitely not going to want pizza and ice cream anymore. It's going to rebel. It's going to say, we want to feel good, and that's not what's going to make you feel good. So this step may start with a pint of ice cream or even an entire cake or pizza, but it's important that you start to put your trust in your body so that you can start to connect with it and understand what it really wants. So start to really notice your cravings. Are they emotional? What are you really hungry for, right? Try indulging in your cravings without judgment, with true enjoyment. Then when you find yourself judging yourself, love that judgment, right? Love it all. It's all coming from you. So you're going to receive a link to mindful eating video in the email you get from me after this online class. And this is going to be a way to kind of start to practice that mindful eating. So another thing you can do is to commit to a daily mindfulness practice, meditation, stretching, yoga for at least 10 minutes a day. And this is going to allow you to connect your mind and your body and to start to trust yourself more. So the proper function of willpower and self-discipline is really to extend wisdom and insight into those times of imperfect clarity, to remember and apply the messages of one's inner voice. So, for example, if you eat a whole pizza and you eat it mindfully and you notice how it feels in the body, you're probably going to notice it doesn't feel that great afterwards. Now, when our inner voice comes up and says, okay, this doesn't feel good in my body, you have to remember that so that when you're tempted on the surface to eat pizza again, then you can exercise willpower from your own experience. That's the key here, is that you're not exercising willpower from someone else's experience, from someone else's advice. You're exercising willpower from a place of inner knowing, and this is the key. So, right, so discipline will come naturally when we integrate into the present awareness the full experience of food. So when we really eat mindfully and we eat something unhealthy, you're going to notice it doesn't taste good. I remember I used to be a Cheeto addict. I love Cheetos. And even in like nutrition, when I was in nutrition school, I would sometimes eat like an entire bag of Cheetos if I was stressed out, or it was just like a weird craving I would get. And I was working on my judgment. I was not judging myself. One day I got a bag of Cheetos and I started eating them and they tasted terrible. And it's because I really integrated the experience of eating too many Cheetos the last time I'd done it, and my body remembered and it said no thanks. And these things start to happen. It's not just like mumbo jumbo or like someone saying that. This really starts to happen. You really do start to notice that your body doesn't want that stuff. So true discipline is really just self-remembering. Case study number 2 is Fiona. I love this cute picture of her. She came to me because she had a lot of physical symptoms. She was overweight, she was uninspired, she had thyroid issues, she felt constantly fatigued. She was feeling really far from her normal self because she'd always been a very active, ambitious, and energetic person. She had tried a lot of diets and protocols in the past and worked with other people, and found that they were just too much work. That's what she said, and always fell off the wagon after about a week or so. So she just felt like it was a lot of work and she didn't really understand why she was doing it. So she had some obvious clinical nutrition issues, like her thyroid and autoimmune condition really required some specific dietary requirements. So we're talking a little bit of food as healing here. But she was also relatively aware of what these were and what she should be doing. But for some reason, she couldn't get them to stick. She couldn't do the things that she knew she was supposed to do. So she needed some accountability, right? She needed a coach. She needed some help. And she also needed to come into habit change gently. She was always trying to do these things all at once, and no one had really guided her through it baby steps wise. So that's what we kind of did. We worked through this 3-step process slowly, and she started to see that she had become identified as a sick, overweight person. And she realized that she was going to make a true change. She was going to have to stop identifying as the victim of some external circumstances and see herself as the person she so desperately wanted to be. So what this means is that she embraced the fact that she had to change because of the small baby steps she took, which really allowed her to have small wins along the way and build confidence, really. So if she hadn't sought out support, Fiona and many of my clients would be stuck in the same cycles, right? So this is something I see a lot. It's like, it's worth hiring someone to help you because of, the accountability factor. And since I want to be really mindful of your time, I'm not going to read through all that, but hopefully you can read it really quickly and just see that she had a good time with me and that the 3-step process worked. All right, step 2 is change your eating patterns, right? And the 4 things, sub-steps, are eat a breakfast with protein and fat, purge junk food from your cupboards and house, eat and drink consistently throughout the day, and think addition, not restriction. So eat a breakfast of protein and fats, not carbs. This is going to do wonders to balance your blood sugar. When we eat carbs in the morning, it spikes, not only spikes our insulin, like we talked about with the hormones, it also spikes our blood sugar, which sets us up for this blood sugar roller coaster all day, which is going to have a lot to do with how hungry you feel, how focused you can be, how much you can really exert self-discipline in the way that you should be exerting it from your experience. This means stuff like eggs, avocado, greens, properly raised bacon without nitrates, maybe smoothies, but with added ghee and coconut oil and egg yolks, that kind of stuff. So a lot of times I hear people say, well, I don't have time to cook breakfast. And I just say, go to bed earlier and get up earlier so you do. Because if you aren't going to change, your life, then your life's not going to change. And so, you can also hard boil eggs. You can figure out a way to prep something like egg muffins on the way out the door. So there's so many options. And so I just really encourage you not to make excuses about that. Purge junk food from your house, desk, and cupboards. You probably heard this before, right? If you don't have it, you won't eat it. And that's so true, and it's simple. And you should definitely not have stuff lying around your house that you will binge on. So if your kids and family eat junk food, tell them it's time for a change. Some people always say, but my husband likes cookies. I say, well, it doesn't matter. Like, you need to have him support you in this, and your husband shouldn't be eating cookies anyway. Neither should your kids. A little bit of tough love here, but it's true. So if you want to do something that bad, like if you want to eat something that bad that you have to leave your house and actually go get it, then make sure you use the practice talked about in the first step when you eat it. You eat it mindfully, without judgment, and with the intention of completely enjoying it. So there is an element of judgment around this food, right? Because you don't have it in your house. But the second you go and get it, judgment doesn't help. You're going to eat it anyway. So eat it in a way that you enjoy it and that you integrate that experience into your body. Another thing, just a little tip here, is that if you want junk food, maybe you have to make it. So if you want cookies or cake or something, maybe you have to make it from scratch. Maybe it has to be sugar-free, only sweetened with maple syrup. There's so many things you can kind of work around this so that you can still have the enjoyment that you want, but you're not making it super easy for yourself, especially at first. Next one is eat and drink consistently throughout the day. So this, again, is about balancing your blood sugar. You don't have to eat lots of small meals, and that's definitely not what I'm saying. I don't advise that even. But you should make sure that you eat a substantial breakfast, lunch, and dinner at consistent intervals because of that ghrelin thing, right? Erratic eating habits really start to make you feel hungrier than you normally would be. Make sure that what you're eating is made of mostly unprocessed whole foods with lots of veggies. Make sure you're also drinking half your body weight in ounces. So if you weigh 160 pounds, you would drink 80 ounces of water a day. Just a rule of thumb, but a good one. And sometimes I find that, especially when people's satiety and hunger signals are kind of messed up, that when they're thirsty, they actually feel hungry, and then they end up eating when they really needed water. And so just making sure you're well hydrated is going to be really powerful. And the last one is think addition, not restriction. So when you're changing eating habits, it's so important to focus on what you're adding to your life, not what you're taking away from it. So you're not obsessing over, I can't have bread, I can't have pasta, I can't have Twinkies or whatever it is. You're thinking about what you're adding to your life. How much healthier are you going to be? What kind of energy is going to be added to your life? Maybe there's tons of new foods that you didn't even know about that you're excited to add to your life. Like for me, when I first went paleo, I ate so much cassava because it's delicious, and I had no idea about it before. Focus on what you're adding, not what you're subtracting. And when you find yourself, obsessing about what you're subtracting, use that as a tool to come back to addition, not restriction. Yeah, and this can really transform your habit change when you shift your mindset. So this is case study number 3. Heather, she had a history of binging and restriction, very negative self-image. She was already doing a lot of healthy things. That she was working out, she was eating a paleo diet, she was finding a new career she was passionate about. She was working with a therapist other than me, like a psychotherapist as well. And she came to me because she finally felt ready for a true change and was extremely motivated. So this is great, a great client, you know. So we started working together and we began this 3-step process. And within just 2 weeks, probably because she was doing so many other things healthfully, she started to see shifts in her relationship with food because of our work and the way she forced herself to change not only her eating habits, but her lifestyle habits. So after 3 months of work together, going through this process, she now lives fully and doesn't binge or obsess about food anymore. All right, Heather. This is just another little quote from her. I like this. Clara was similar to a rebirth in a sense because I was able to actually become a new person, but still have incredible compassion for the person I was before. This is awesome. And this segues perfectly into the step 3, which is transform your life. The fact is that you are not going to be the same person after this process. You are going to be different. That doesn't mean that you don't like the person that you were before, but it means that you've shifted, that things have grown, that you've expanded, you've gotten better, right? So the ones underneath this are the judgment detox, following the thread of desire, building a spiritual connection to self, and getting support. I'm just checking the time here. Okay. So the first one is judgment detox. So most of my clients I ask to go on a 30-day judgment detox. This means for 30 days, you do not judge yourself or other people, but this is mostly focusing on yourself. This isn't about, you know, being better than other people or anything like that. This is about not judging yourself. So judgment has actually been shown to make our cells separate from each other. There was this really interesting study done where they put cells in a petri dish and then they thought judgmental thoughts and they thought positive thoughts, and the judgmental thoughts actually made cells disconnect and pull apart from each other. And this is so perfect because we want connection in life. That's really what we want. We don't want things. We don't want, you know, all the stuff that we think we want. We really just want to feel connected. We want to feel like we belong to something bigger. And so judgment is really at a cellular level taking us away from that. So this is the really key. The forgiveness practice is how we turn judgment into a positive blessing. So this is the judgment thing, the forgiveness practice that you use during the judgment detox. Every time you judge yourself, you say, I do not judge. I forgive myself for what I have created with my judgment, right? So you're not judging, and then you're also forgiving yourself for judging in the first place, because if we fight against the judgment, that's not going to help either. We need to accept the judgment. So I accept myself. I embrace myself. I free myself to be myself. I give myself blessings of playfulness, love, acceptance, etc., whatever you want to put in there. So you use this every single time you find yourself speaking negatively to yourself, you use it. The next one is following the thread of the desire. And this is one of my favorites because it ties into the judgment detox as well as the willpower fallacy. There's a reason these things go in this order, right? So we have convinced ourselves that we are not trustworthy when it comes to our own health and reach for external rules. And this is about the willpower fallacy as well, right? We don't trust ourselves. We're pitting our mind against our body. This is crazy though, because we are really the only true authorities on our health. So even though we have this idea that our desires are detrimental to our own health, ingrained in us, we really need to start practicing self-trust and intuitive guidance and getting curious about our desires. And most of all, allowing them to be just that. So following the thread of desire does not mean that you act upon every desire. It doesn't mean allowing and acting are different, right? It means that you begin to notice and allow your desires instead of denying them. So you begin to follow them deeper and deeper, right? You're following that thread, you're pulling the thread out, and you're seeing what's at the end. So this is an example. You get home from a long day of work, you really feel the desire to sit down on the couch, watch bad TV, and eat a bunch of ice cream. Stop. Feel that desire. Why are you feeling that way? Start pulling at it. Why do I feel like I need to eat a tub of ice cream? I know that's not what I need, right? We know that we never need to actually do that. chances are you're really not feeling taken care of. You're feeling overworked, you're feeling underappreciated, your brain is craving a break, and your body is craving connection, not TV and ice cream. So what do you do instead when you start to pull that desire? Instead, maybe you order a salad with some protein from a restaurant so that you don't end up grazing. Maybe you take a hot bath, maybe you do a meditation practice, maybe you have a conversation with a loved one, right? You start to nurture yourself in a way that really does nourish yourself. So this is a page from the book Transformational Weight Loss by Charles Einstein. Totally forgot the name there for a second, but that's it. So it was what I was talking about before, right? We have a need, that creates a desire, then we get the object of that need, and the cycle can kind of flow like that. It's very smooth. We get what we need. When we have a need and that generates a desire, and temporarily we substitute that object of that need with food or with a bad habit of some sort or some sort of addictive pattern, then we temporarily numb ourselves, but we're constantly going to go back to that need. And it's going to intensify the need, which is where these more strong cravings come from, right? So normally maybe we would just be craving some food, but then because we ignore it by deprivation or something, it intensifies, and then we really want ice cream or something like that. So we can see how these following the thread of desire can really get us out of this cycle that substitutes things for our needs and allows us to really see what our needs are. The next part of Transform Your Life is building a spiritual connection to yourself. And I mean this by your higher self, right? This isn't like completely necessary because it happens on its own. And sometimes, it can be where I lose people because I'm talking about spirituality, but I think it's super important, and I think it's a huge part of why we start to see this transformation in our life. So when we start to trust ourselves, when we start to see that ourselves actually want what's best for us, then we feel grateful for ourselves. We start to appreciate the spiritual aspect of our own inner wisdom. And we start to see that our higher self will always guide us towards what's best for us. Connecting to our higher self can involve somewhat spiritual practices like meditation, journaling, self-love, exercises, that kind of thing. So when we connect with anything above and beyond our ego, we start to delight in the infinite mystery of life that guides us towards our true purpose, which is just to experience and be ourselves. I just think that's a beautiful way to look at it. The last part of this is to get support. You've probably noticed through this presentation that all this stuff can get really heavy, and habit change is always challenging no matter how motivated or well-guided you are. Getting support can be the determinant factor in true transformation. So people trying to change without accountability succeed 15% of the time. People actively seek out accountability and guidance will reach their goals 85% of the time. This is taken from a study from like the 80s, and it's always used by coaches, but for good reason, right? It's a great statistic for us to use. So what is transforming your health worth? What is being more active, less stressed, less worried, less preoccupied worth to you? I'm willing to bet it's worth getting support. So today, I promise, and I'm going kind of fast because I'm getting to the 45-minute mark here, you would learn a clear step-by-step process to stop your overeating once and for all, that you would end this online class feeling ready to shift your eating and lifestyle habits permanently. You will learn that willpower is a fallacy and why you fail when you rely on it, the role of your physiology and hormones play in your cravings, and how once you learn how to balance them, you'll be free of cravings for good. And I feel like there was so much more in here, right? I know that you guys all got your own little tidbits out there. So we covered a lot, and I understand that. So I just want to go through the basics, just a recap real fast. Step 1, identify the cause. Understand the difference between emotional and physical hunger. Track your daily routine. Understand your hormones and the roles they play, and stop beating yourself up for stuff that could be endocrine related. The fallacy of willpower, why you can't pit your mind against your body. Step 2 is to change your eating habits. You want a protein and fat-filled breakfast. You want consistency throughout the day with food. You want to purge junk food from your house and office. You want to think addition, not restriction. Step 3 is transform your life. You want to do a judgment detox. You want to follow the thread of desire. You want to connect with your higher self and then you want to get support. So now you have a choice. You have a choice about if you want to get support. You have a choice if you want to make a change. You have a choice if you want to use this 3-step process yourself, right? So this is how I can help. Hopefully after this online class, you have some idea of where to start, but you can also see why it's so hard to see real change without getting guidance and help, right? So because individualized guidance and considerations are so key to this process, I've set aside some time in my calendar the next couple of weeks to do one-on-one health breakthrough sessions over the phone to help you draw out your personalized roadmap to stop your overeating once and for all. And the cost of this is absolutely free. No joke, just free. So I do want to say that this is for people who really want to change, right? This is if you're willing to work and dig deep into your past issues with food and nourishment. We can't, get too much in on a 30-minute call, but you need to be open to willing to dig deep, at least a little bit on the 30-minute call. You have to be open to things like EFT, meditation, talking about your higher self. Maybe you haven't done it before, but you at least have to be open to it because that might be something that you need to look into. This is for you if you realize that I'm a guide, but that I do not provide any results without effort and you taking responsibility for it. This is key. I can tell you what to do all day long, but you actually have to do it, right? And then I also only want to talk to you if you resonate with me and my message. If you feel like this was worthwhile and you liked it, and you feel like, I could be a help to you. So some people might be like, well, why? Why are you doing this? I feel like there's a catch here, right? And I'm doing this because it really is my lifelong goal to help as many women as I can eat from a place of love and not fear. That's my purpose. I'm a very spiritual and guided person, so it's not about getting money, it's about fulfilling this purpose. And I'm doing this because I was just like you a few years ago, and I was craving some sort of guidance. I wish, I had someone show me this process. And I'm doing this because if I can help you out longer term with a coaching package, then we can talk about that. But there's never going to be any sort of hard selling. I'm not going to tell you what my prices are or make you feel guilty for not signing up. I promise I'm here to help. So either way, a phone call with me is going to be hugely beneficial to you and your health. I have no doubt about it. I know I could definitely give you some solid points to think about, some solid things to do for your health. So follow the link and schedule your personalized health breakthrough session with me today. There's a button right below this screen, and you can click that. You'll see a calendar with available times, and then you just fill out the information. There's a short questionnaire, and I'm going to call you at the time you selected. And I really, truly believe that this could be the best 30 minutes you've spent on your health, especially if you've never had any sort of personalized guidance before. So since it's just me doing these calls, space is going to be very limited. So trust your gut, sign up now, get your appointment on the calendar while you can. So that's it. And I think I'm right at the 45-minute mark. Normally I would take questions, but since I'm offering these free phone calls, just sign up for a free phone call and we'll get you signed up and we'll talk to you and you can get all your questions answered. So this was a real pleasure. I love giving these online classes because you guys can do them in your pajamas and still get so much information. And I'm just really grateful that you're here. So look for the email from me, sign up for your health breakthrough session, and I'm so grateful that you've been here. Have a great night.